Welcome back to the Making the Madness YouTube channel. Sean back again, and today we have a little bit of interesting news, but I figured it was worthy of making a video because it's pretty, season-altering news. Illinois big man Kofi Cockburn has decided to enter the NBA draft, and it appears that he's going to stick with that. He's going to go pro, and he is going to move on from Illinois. And that's pretty big news. I mean, some people kind of expected it would go that way, but he's not going to get drafted more than likely. He's not really appearing on any mock drafts at all. And, that's for a few different reasons. I mean, I think he's a talented player, but if this was 20 years ago, if we're talking 2001, I think that's the year Kwame Brown got drafted. Kofi Cockburn could have been, the first pick in that draft. I mean, just the way the game has changed really doesn't allow for guys like Kofi Cockburn to, to be a big-time player in the NBA. I mean, he's slow, so he's going to struggle on lateral defensive moves, defending guys at the basket, trying to get there and cut off guards. He just won't be able to do that, and he struggled with it at the college level. I mean, Loyola Chicago sliced and diced him down low in the NCAA tournament. Cam Krutwig scooted past him numerous times. He would pass it on a back cut, and Cockburn just couldn't get there. He was too slow to, help and get the cutter right there. So it was just an impossible task for him in that one. He was, really a liability on defense. And outside of about, 3, 4, 5 feet, he can't score on offense. I mean, he's a little more than a dunker, but he doesn't have many post moves. And he really just uses his strength. He wins with his strength and his size because he's 7 foot 290. So when you're that big, you're going to win with your size occasionally. But he's just not, there as a basketball player. He's a big dude who is very, very strong, but he just is not there as a basketball player. He's a terrible free throw shooter. He struggles at defense, and he's very limited on the offensive end. He's not going to make it in the NBA. Like, I wish him the best. Seems like a great dude, and by all accounts he is. But he's not going to get drafted, and it doesn't sound like he plans on coming back. And when you look at some of these mock drafts, I wouldn't have him probably in my top 100. If I'm just looking at guys who I would draft, and looking at ESPN's top 100, I don't see any sign of Kofi Cockburn in this. So they don't have him. If there was, 3 rounds, he wouldn't get drafted, according to ESPN. So I think, I wish him the best of luck. I think he can get paid overseas in the Euro League and whatnot. But it was kind of just a situation like Luka Garza had, even though Luka Garza really, played his way into the NBA, and he might be a first-round pick at this point. But, it's kind of, your stock's probably never going to get higher, and for Luka Garza it did, luckily for him, and I'm glad it did because he's a great player, one of the all-time great college basketball players, Big Ten players. He was a great player in his career at Iowa, but many saw his decision as a guy that will never be an NBA player, and if he is, it'll be on a 2-way contract. And, so will he return to Iowa and be one of the best players in the country? He decided to do that, and he won National Player of the Year. He was the best player in the country, and now he could be a first-round pick. Kofi Cockburn and Trace Jackson Davis kind of had similar situations this year, where Jackson Davis decided not to test the waters, not enter at all, similar to what he did his freshman season, and he might have gotten drafted, maybe late second round, mid-second round, but he's kind of in the same situation as Cockburn. He's a little more skilled at, basketball-wise than Cockburn, but he's a lot smaller. But Jackson Davis decided that it was worth it for him to come back for another season, try to improve his stock. Cockburn opted against it. So what does this mean for Illinois, in other words, too, while we're here? So you lose Cockburn, who would have been an All-American should he had returned. You added Omar Payne, so that's a big one. Payne's one of the best rim protectors in the country. He's efficient inside. He's pretty much only a dunker at this point. But, if you can get good production out of him on the glass and on the defensive end like you will, he's going to be able to hold his own and do just fine. Coleman Hawkins is probably going to eat up some minutes at the 5 spot too, if I had to guess, because, he's 6'11". I'd like to see him be able to stretch the floor at this level. I know he did in high school. I'd like to see him do it at this level first. Obviously, you're losing Georgie Bashanaishvili, who decided to go play pro ball overseas. So you're losing him too, and you're losing Kofi Cockburn, but you get Omar Payne, and you return Coleman Hawkins and Benjamin Bosmans-Verdonk. I would not hate to see them add a big man via the transfer portal. You know, there's some names out there. It could be Trey Mitchell from UMass, who's the top transfer available in my mind. If you could add him, he's going to be a really good player. I mean, I think he could produce more for Illinois than Kofi Cockburn did just due to his versatility. He's a 6'11 big man that can shoot the ball. You can't ask for more than that, and I think he'd be a huge addition for the Illini, but he's going to have a ton of options, so we'll see what he ultimately decides to do. But you return Trent Frazier. You add Alfonso Plummer. You return Andre Curbelo. You add a few good freshmen in Luke Good, Braden Podzemski. Those are some pretty talented guys. They're both good shooters. I don't know what kind of roles they'll play in their freshman seasons, but I think they have high upside for sure. You have Austin Hutcherson. If he's healthy, he's a pro. He's an NBA player if he's healthy. He's really struggled with health in the past. He didn't play last season due to a back issue. D3 transfer that was a D3 National Player of the Year 2 seasons ago. He is, I believe, a 43-inch vertical or a 42-inch vertical, and he's an elite shooter from deep. He's a pro. He's a pro if he can stay healthy. He could be an NBA draft pick if he's healthy. He just has to be healthy. I think he'd be a major contributor at this level, even though he's never played at this high of a level. We saw Duncan Robinson do the same thing at Michigan, going from D3 to D1 in the Big Ten. And, you know, I think he's going to be really good. You have Jacob Grandison, who decided to pick up a pretty big role late last season once he got healthy. He was pretty good. He's a good shooter. DeMonte Williams hasn't made his decision yet. And that's a pretty important decision for the Illini because of his defensive versatility. He became a pretty, trustworthy shooter this season, shooting close to 50%. So I think the Illini are in a really good spot. I would definitely look into the transfer portal to try to add a big man to replace Kofi Cockburn. Even if you enter game 1 next season, if on November 9th or 10th or whenever the first game's going to be, if you tell me that Illinois is starting Omar Payne alongside Trent Frazier, Andre Curbelo, Alfonso Plummer, or Jacob Grandison, and you can put Hutcherson at the 4. I would say it's a very good roster, probably a top 20 team coming into the season. But I think if you had Trey Mitchell, they'll be a top 10 team. So you really got to go after Trey Mitchell and see what's there. You got to see who else is in the portal. There's definitely some names. I don't know how effective they would be at this level, but there's certainly some names. So it's worth seeing what's out there. But for Brad Underwood, he definitely has a good team next season. Hope for big seasons out of Coleman Hawkins and Omar Payne. But I think they are more than capable of having big seasons. So thanks for checking out this video. Illinois is still in a good spot. And until next time, have a good one.